Union Test Prep's practice test for the ServSafe Food Handler exam, Part 5. There will be a brief pause after answer choices are given. This is a great time to pause the video to solve. Question 1. Which of the following would not be considered an example of a chemical contaminant? A. Sanitizers. B. Polishes. C. Cleaners. D. Fungi. The correct answer is D. Fungi. Fungi is not an example of a chemical contaminant. Chemical contaminants, or hazards, consist of chemicals used in your operation that can contaminate food and make food unsafe when not used correctly. Chemicals should be stored in designated areas away from food and food prep areas, used according to their instructions, and disposed of safely. Question 2. How many inches off the floor should food service utensils and equipment that come in contact with food be stored to remain safe from possible contamination? A. 4 inches. B. 6 inches. C. 8 inches. D. 10 inches. The correct answer is B. 6 inches. Food service utensils, tools such as tongs or spatulas, and equipment that comes in contact with food, like cutting boards, should be stored at least 6 inches off the floor to protect against potential contamination. Non-food items like paper goods, plastic cutlery, and pantry storage foods must also be stored this way. Question 3. When setting up a 3-compartment sink, how hot should the wash water be? A. 80 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 90 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 110 degrees Fahrenheit. D. 115 degrees Fahrenheit. The correct answer is C. 110 degrees Fahrenheit. 3-compartment sinks are used to wash larger food service items such as pots and pans. You must follow specific guidelines when setting up a 3-compartment sink to ensure these items are washed and sanitized correctly. This includes starting with cleaned and sanitized drain boards and wash basins, filling the first compartment with 110-degree water and detergent, filling the second compartment with clear water, and filling the third compartment with water and the correct amount of sanitizer solution, which should be tested with a test kit. Question 4. When reheating food that will be held for later service, the food must reach what internal temperature to be safe? A. 135 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 145 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 155 degrees Fahrenheit. D. 165 degrees Fahrenheit. The correct answer is D. 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Foods being reheated for later service must reach an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit and hold that temperature reading for 15 seconds. Reheated foods must reach this temperature within 2 hours to be safe to consume. Question 5. Which of the following scenarios is an incorrect practice when preventing cross-contamination inside a cooler? A. Placing an uncovered pan of frozen chicken on the bottom shelf to thaw. B. Using a food-safe container with a lid and a label to store leftover buffalo sauce. C. Storing raw and ready-to-eat foods separately. D. Storing ready-to-eat foods above raw foods. The correct answer is A. While poultry should be placed on the bottom shelf of a cooler to thaw, it should never be uncovered. All foods should be wrapped or covered and labeled before being stored in the cooler, and raw and ready-to-eat foods should always be stored separately. Question 6. Which of the following is true of safe food handlers who have facial hair? A. They cannot work around food until they've shaved their facial hair. B. They can work around food, but they must wear a beard restraint. C. As long as their head hair is covered in a hat, their facial hair is acceptable. D. They're only allowed to work in the dish area if they have uncovered facial hair. The correct answer is B. Food handlers with facial hair can work around food, but only while wearing a beard restraint. Hairs that fall into food become physical contaminants, and a safe food handler does all they can to protect their customers against contamination. Question 7. Which of the following actions is not considered good personal hygiene? A. Keeping your fingernails short. B. Wearing a clean apron. C. Keeping your hair covered. D. Touching your face. The correct answer is D. Touching your face. Touching your hair, face, ears, or body are everyday actions that could contaminate your hands. If you must touch your hair, face, ears, or body, your hands must be washed immediately after, to maintain good personal hygiene and keep your customers safe from contamination. Question 8. Using the same cooking oil to fry shrimp and then fry potatoes is known as A. Cross-contamination. B. Poor personal hygiene. C. Cross-contact. D. Physical contamination. The correct answer is C. Cross-contact. When preparing and cooking food for allergic customers, it is important to avoid cross-contact. Cross-contact happens when a food containing an allergen comes in contact with another food and their proteins mix. Separate fryers and cooking oil should be used when frying food for an allergic customer. Question 9. When using a towel to sanitize work tables, which of the following is an acceptable practice? A. Storing the towel in a bucket of sanitizer solution. B. Storing the towel in the third sink of a three-compartment sink. C. Storing the towel in your apron. D. Storing the towel in your uniform pocket. The correct answer is A. Towels used to sanitize should be stored in a bucket of sanitizer solution when they're not in use, and never stored in a way that could contaminate them. They should also only be used to sanitize and never used to clean up food spills or any other purpose that could contaminate them. Question 10. What temperature is the low end of the temperature danger zone? A. 38 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 41 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 40 degrees Fahrenheit. D. 31 degrees Fahrenheit. The correct answer is B. The temperature danger zone ranges from 41 degrees Fahrenheit to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is the range in which pathogens grow well. Foods that need time and temperature control for safety, or TCS foods, are especially vulnerable and must be kept out of this range. Looking for more study help? Get additional practice tests, study guides, and flashcards for the ServSafe exams at uniontestprep.com.